Hello, everybody. I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff and Marcia's Friday Live Chat. We invite you to join us at McDuffLives, all one word, on Rumble. That's where most of the chat occurs, although we can also see you if you want to post on YouTube, Facebook, or X. So wherever you are, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having our Friday live chat with you. And we're back, as they say in the business. John O'Loughlin here with my dear sweet wife, Marcia Keith. Hi, Marcia.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
And it's Friday, and it's the first decently cool day we've had in centuries, I would say.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's been very, very hot and stuffy for so long. And now, although it's a cloudy day, I am just relishing the fresh air, So, yeah, but it's August 1st. And, those of you who say rabbit, 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 there you go.
Yeah. I read that the temps were going to be for the next week, they're going to be like 20 degrees lower than they have been.
Oh, my goodness.
It's going to be very nice.
That's superb.
At least on the East Coast. I'm sure in other parts of the country, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, thinking about what we would talk about today, going through what I studied this week with folks on our show, the biggest thing that stuck out with me was when I was reading about Walter Lippmann in the book Two World Wars and Hitler by McGregor and O'Dowd. And Lippmann was this very, very influential journalist and writer. I had no idea that he was so tied into the British Roundtable Group. And he was probably primarily responsible for bringing America into a pro-British stance after the 19th century. That he became, and he worked with Edward Bernays, so they studied, group psychology and how to motivate people. So that just as in World War II, the media got busy to talk people into fighting against the Germans and, the whole media thing. Well, it also happened before World War I and during the war to bring America finally in to overwhelm the Germans and cause the armistice. So this guy Lippmann said that what they needed to do was to do three things, and the way to do that is to basically infiltrate anybody that's opposed to the British Wall Street financial order that is behind the war. And so the three things that I remember was to, number one, to just not to try to control the group, but to listen to them, to understand what they're saying, to understand what their philosophies are and who among them feels this way or that way, and to, be able to report that back to the higher ups.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, which I think is the one that really sticks with me, is to provide them an outlet to let off steam. To provide anybody that's opposing the system, to give them an outlet where they can let off steam. And this is the genesis of the example was the New Republic magazine, was created to make a platform available for those people who were opposed to the current order. And I think that is so important to understand that once that model is set, then any number of things, I think of Mother Jones off the top of my head, the magazine. So many of these publications that are beautifully illustrated, shiny, covers, really nice productions. How much of them are part of the psychological warfare that allows everybody to feel like they've been heard, but at the same time, number three in the things that you need to do is to maintain the control that you could shut it down in the event that they get too radical. So if they go off, too far into the forbidden land of socialism or communism or whatever, that you can then just pull the string and boom, the whole thing is gone, and then you just throw it down the memory hole. And those are the things that if folks could understand the impact of that type of psychological maneuvering on our history, then we might have a chance of uncovering, of peeling back some of these layers like we try to do here on the show. But I hadn't really taken it to heart as how powerful that weapon is. It's just,
I'm fascinated by this notion of the number 2, the let off steam, the vent, because at first it sounds like it's something that is going to strengthen the group. But as you talk about it, when you said feel heard, I think that helps me to understand what this does, because what this does is if I have this belief that is brewing inside of me, this ideology, and I am able to vent it, to share it, to write about it, or to talk about it, to communicate about it, and feel like people have heard me, then I can relax. And I don't feel this urge to be heard anymore. And I can sort of sit back and feel, okay, I've done my part. And so it makes me less active, less eager to act, less in need of taking some action, because I feel like I've taken action. It's really brilliant. It's genius. It kind of makes me rethink everything in my life.
What you just said, just me bouncing back off of that, is that it creates echo chambers because you need positive feedback. And you're only going to get as much positive feedback as the system allows you, So what you do, you create, these connections with other writers or producers or artists or whatever. And you just talk it all up amongst yourselves. And that becomes your narrative that you live by, the whole idea that we're making progress together. Well, what was it Martin Luther King said about bending the arc of history toward justice or something like that? We're doing something. We're doing something. And,
we think we're making progress because we say things and then we hear those things echoed back to us and we go, yay, we're making progress.
Yeah, I think this is, I've been struggling for years to try to understand how it is that people, adhere to the basic progressive liberal narrative, in spite of the fact that it never succeeds. There's always a lid comes down on it. Like Bernie Sanders, for instance. There comes a time when you can't do that anymore, and that's when they pull the plug. and they pulled the plug on Bernie Sanders. Like, that's just an example. I don't want to.
Yeah, but it's a good one. It's actually a very good example because, they absolutely pulled the plug on Bernie.
So yeah.
So Corky says, "Do I spy art supplies behind Marcia?" I'm thinking that Corky is referring to these things right there.
Oh my God, those are all my little flutes and recorders and my fife that I just had out for cleaning, and they're
they're music supplies.
Yeah, those are musical instruments, Corky.
So, and then he goes on to say, "Let off steam." Also about calibrating energy for balance, avoiding destruction. Interesting.
I think that's the same idea.
Yeah.
The idea is that, it's a good idea not to let things go to the point of, destruction, but sometimes things like Antifa do happen, and they go into that destruction mode. But I think that's all. All of it is organized and serves a greater purpose.
Rick Olson is here. Rick says, "Good morning." Good morning, Rick. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Rick.
Oh, and then also Paula is with us this morning.
Paula, hello.
Why am I not able to do that? There we go. Greetings from Amsterdam. Yes, greetings to Amsterdam. I have such happy memories. I think every time we hear from Paula, it stirs up our happy memories of Amsterdam.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Brightmore is here. Wait. Okay, this I don't understand. In ordinal gematria, I don't know this word. Trump equals 88, and I think you're referring to a previous comment with the 8.8 Russian earthquake / tsunami. Interesting that Russian earthquake occurred as Ukraine wobbles on its last legs.
Gematria is kind of an esoteric mathematics that has various different ways of encoding words into numbers, of
course.
And so there's different, and so the one that he's referring to is called ordinal gematria. Now that's as far as I know. I haven't dug into it, except for I always do think of the woman from the World Bank talking about numerology. And
that's what Corky says, numerology.
Yeah, she said, now do you know your numerology? And then it had to do with the dates of that year and things like that. And so that she's signaling that we, the mighty ones, do use mathematical formulae and things like gematria to do secret communication and things like that. So, and of course, 88 to me is just HH in the alphabet, which is, who, who.
Brightmore says, started with Hebrew, number game used by the Cabal.
Yeah. Okay. Well put. I agree.
Yep. And then Charles Held is here saying
Charles.
Hello. Good morning, Charles. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh, more words I don't understand from Corky.
Oh, that's too many of them.
Yeah, there was one earlier too that I didn't get, the stenographic, but now theurgy and thaumaturgy. So I'll have to look those up.
Yeah, I think I'll go thumbs down on those. Sorry, Corky. Seismic anomalies. Sorry, Marcia.
That's all right.
And yeah, people are really talking about this earthquake that happened in Siberia, or on a peninsula on the on the very eastern part of Russia,
right,
and how it's reverberated through the
throughout the
United
Pacific,
States,
yeah.
and it, even into the Caribbean. You're seeing maps of how it's going, and yeah. You never know. Is this a natural event?
Yes.
Excuse me a second.
Well, Brightmore goes on to say seismic irregularities, including no P primary wave with the quake.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like somebody might be suspicious of this quake, so
yes,
we'll keep an eye on it, as they say.
Yes. It does seem to me that there's been a lot of seismic activity more in the form of volcanoes lately. There have been volcanoes all over the place erupting. And I don't know how common, how it, if it's more than usual or not, because sometimes it gets reported and sometimes it doesn't. So 2 or 3 going on around the world at the same time, is that unusual? Oh, interesting. Corky says Tesla had an earthquake machine. We have it now.
Yeah, I had heard that Israel had something like that. And Russia has something that is planted in the Atlantic Ocean, down in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere, that if they ever set it off, it'll send a tsunami to the East Coast and wipe out all the East Coast cities of the United States.
Including you and me.
Apparently so, which I take personally.
Yes.
So I think Russia, don't go there.
Yeah, there was a movie one time about a tsunami that hit the East Coast, and I remember thinking when I watched that movie, what would that be like? Because it was like, this wave hundreds of feet high. I think an asteroid had hit or something.
Do you mind if we get back to Paula's comment about the EU?
Oh, let me go back and, well, go ahead and put it up if you have it. Here we go.
The EU will destroy itself rather than give up on Ukraine. For what reason, I don't know, other than Alfred Mackinder's ideas. And Alfred Mackinder is the British geo theorist that basically said, that the landmass of Europe and Asia creates this big island, and whoever controls the center of that island controls the whole island, and therefore the whole world. And so it's just the idea of everybody trying to control the center. And
Ukraine is about the center?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that is, a very, very important way to look at it. I don't have, a particular opinion on whether the EU is going to actually destroy itself, except for it. In my view, all of this is driven by the British Wall Street financial system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about whether the EU destroys itself or not. The EU is constructed by that financial
system, yes.
To serve that system. So, the countries of Europe that pretend that they're sovereign, or, anybody, I'm afraid that that's one of the biggest, hoaxes that's been perpetrated. It's right up there with the Federal Reserve, that somehow this EU is protecting sovereignty and national character and things like that. It's not. It's a complete, scam to, to fleece the average people, as is happening in the United States.
Yeah, well, so many scams that are happening.
But I don't have
everywhere.
a real intelligent comment on that. So, but thank you, Paul. All right.
Brightmore says climate change equals weather warfare. Well, yeah. And Laura says, not just the quake, suspicious of everything. Absolutely. And I like what you were just saying. Brightmore says Marjorie Taylor Greene questioned the amount of cloud seeding that preceded the flooding at Texas camp. Speaking of weather warfare. Weather control, says Corky. Duh. Cloud busting, not just a Kate Bush tune. I don't know the tune, but. And then Florida, Tennessee, restricting cloud seeding. Geoengineering. Yes. Yes, but can they? That'll be interesting to see. And Brightmore suggests that EU is probably behind possible scalar wave attack that caused quake in Russia.
The EU.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Why?
Well, it's a long ways away.
Yeah.
I would think that it would be a more global power, like say the United States or Russia or China or something. The EU doesn't seem to me to be so technologically militarized that they could throw a switch and then cause that to happen. That's just my gut. I could be wrong. Maybe they are very advanced, but it seems to me they don't have the money for it, really.
Interesting.
Pardon me.
Brightmore says dead whales washed up in Japan post-quake. I hadn't heard that. What would have killed the whales? Interesting.
No.
And yes, Corky, I agree, that's sad. Whales are smart. Yes, there's lots of smart animals that are out there. That's something that I was reading about. Oh, gosh. Oh, I know. I read somewhere just this morning that crows, when they're not well, they go stand on ant hills and let the ants crawl all over them because the ants emit formic acid that actually kills bacteria. And so it becomes sort of like a medicine for the crows. And then it went on to talk about how more and more we are discovering that the animal world has a lot of intelligence. And I read that and I think, duh, why are we just discovering that? No, we've known that for a long time. We just haven't been willing to admit it because, then we can't dominate the animals.
I love animal videos. I get stuck on them on my Facebook page. I'm like reels, and there's
aren't they the best?
My favorite ones are donkeys. I love to see them donkeys. They're so cute.
I've mentioned it before. Henry the donkey. You gotta find him. He's very cute because most of his videos start out with him not being in the shot, and the woman who's taking the videos calls him, and he comes running like a dog or some kind of a pet, and I thought it was a pretty good donkey.
That was really a good donkey.
It was.
Anytime I need a donkey, I know where to go.
Yay! I get to be the donkey.
Is that like, do you have other voices that you do?
Chickens.
Let's hear your chicken. Oh my God. I got a real bonus when I married you, man.
That goes back to the radio days. I don't know what it was that was something that some production we did when I worked in radio 100 years ago that required a chicken. And I always got to be the chicken.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was one that was a rabbit, but I can't remember what kind of noise a rabbit would have made.
You couldn't top the chicken. And
I see.
It's great. Maybe you could do a whale or something.
When I go visit the neighbor with the chickens, yeah. I should try that. I never have. maybe her chicken, what is his name? Klaus. Klaus is the one that always wants
He's an ornery guy.
Very ornery rooster. And he always wants to sneak up behind me and bite, jump up and bite the backs of my thighs. So I have to carry a stick. Oh, look, Laura says I am talented and I can sing too. Oh, thank you, Laura. That's very sweet of you.
Darn right you are. And yes, you can. I do have another topic that I had rolling around in my brain. If you wanted to
do tell,
talk about this for a second. This morning I happened on a channel called Double Down News, and I didn't get the name of the man who was presenting it, but he did a really good job. And it's about a 20-minute presentation. What he wanted to say was that let me just start with World War II, okay? He's saying that in order to win World War I and World War II, the rich people had to spend down their money. They had to spend a lot of money to build ships and pay troops, and so war, along with plague and other things, are some of the things that cause it possible to change the existing order. And so when the rich have to pay out all their money in order to to protect what they got left, then that tends to put more money out into the rest of the society, and people can do okay.
Ooh, trickle down economics.
There you go. So what he said next was then, okay, after World War II, having set up the system to finance the war, we simply shifted it to finance the welfare state. So that, pardon me?
I said, go on.
Yeah. So, okay. So then, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the welfare state grows and grows and grows. And the election of Trump signifies that this is the end of that era in which the big economy is going to finance the underclass, the less fortunate, by drawing taxes and giving it back to the people that are less fortunate. That whole thing of the the welfare state.
Mm-hmm.
So this is coming to an end. And this is what Elon Musk represents, is that when you...
Elon Musk or Doge?
Elon Musk.
Okay.
He represents, he's an oligarch. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
And what you get when the welfare state goes away is oligarchy. So this is what we're looking at. This is his argument, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's okay. I'm saying that not because I disagree. I'm just thinking that one through.
So he's saying the Trump victory represents the oligarchs taking, they're no longer going to pay. They're shrinking down the budget. They're shrinking down programs, and then they're not going to pay anymore. That's the change. Now, what I think is important about his presentation is that he goes on to say that the current leadership in the Democratic Party are incapable of fighting this. And he, showed pictures of Clinton and Biden and the rest of them, these nicely dressed white people. He didn't have Obama in the picture, but I'm sure he includes Obama. These folks are not able to fight against, the evil oligarchy party, because they are always trying to compromise with them. They're always trying, they won't take them on directly. And so they want to try to play both ends. They want to play ball with the oligarchs without taking them on. And yet they want to be the people who are leading the progressive fight to maintain the gains that they've made over the period in which the welfare state was being subsidized. So when you get to the end of it, what he's recommending is that there be a great big mass organization of progressive people all over the country. It's going to take millions and millions of people to form a mass movement that's going to overcome this oligarchy. And I thought that there's a lot of good in his message. It gets to the end and he loses me, because that's just not the way politics works. And
right,
that's not going to happen in the United States of America. I mean, you can ask Ralph Nader, ask, anybody that's tried to run a progressive third party deal. It's just, it just doesn't happen. But the other thing is that what it is it is a complete denial of the responsibility of people in the Democratic Party to make the Democratic Party do what it says it's doing, and that is promoting the welfare of the underclass and the ability of people to raise themselves up after a sufficient amount of public safety net.
Well, I think that first of all, it's a bifurcated argument. And that drives me crazy, because once again, it's not either black or white or up or down or red or blue. There's so many shades of gray. There's, such a broad spectrum of ideologies and how ideologies work, that it's not one or the other. But for the sake of discussion, we look at one or the other. And I don't think that Democrats, I don't think that Democrats, the way he's portraying them, as you discuss, that's not their goal. They want it to appear that that's their goal, to provide this safety net. But I think that the safety net very often keeps people powerless. And I think that what this trickle down oligarchy does is it creates jobs that provide people opportunities to take control of their lives. And, but once again, it's a very nuanced situation where there's all kinds of variations in people's situations. So to bifurcate the discussion and put everybody into one basket or another is really very unfair. But, I think that when you talk about, you mentioned the Clintons, I don't see them as fighting an oligarchy. They are happily part of an oligarchy and only pretend that they are fighting it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I really do direct some, I don't know, attention, or, call your attention, to, my Democratic friends. I'm saying, do something about this. My point in reaction to what the gentleman's podcast was about is that, no, you are not seeing that the Democratic Party is and has been just as controlled by oligarchs
absolutely
all along
yes,
as the Republican Party, and this is, I have shown this on my show. I have taken it all the way back to Edward Mandell House and his Philip Drew, the administrator book, where he basically says we're going to put a Marxist system in to take care of these little people.
I realized it years ago when I was a fan of and supporter of Hillary Clinton. And one day I'm reading an article about Hillary Clinton supports GMOs and is anti-GMO labeling on products. And her argument was so paper thin, tissue paper thin, that all she is doing is protecting corporations. It was like a light bulb for me, saying she's not in favor of protecting the public, because her argument was that if you label GMOs on products, then people are going to misunderstand what that means. No, they're not. No, they're not. So it made me realize she is more loyal to the corporations than to the people. And it made me start questioning everything about the Democratic Party. And that was part of the beginning of my journey away from trusting them.
Excellent. Wow. That's the journey that I hope you're a pathfinder for many people, because that's what got you to this point.
Partially. I mean, also food. Food was a big part of it too. And all of the lies. I read a book, back in the 90s, and I wish I could remember the name of the book, because it was by a nutritionist who lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she talks all about nutrition and the nutrition industry. And she exposed so many of the lies that are told by the Food and Drug Administration, and how their policies are completely shaped to protect the food manufacturers, and that was 30 some years ago. That was part of it too. But yeah.
You saw that bench that I posted on my.
That was so good. Yeah. Where is that bench?
That came from RFK Jr. on his Twitter feed.
Wow.
He posted that, and he said, this bench is in the garden of the FDA. And on the bench is engraved the words, our food system has been taken over by the devil.
Wow.
And I think that is so true. And so to have it there, and for Kennedy to call attention to it, that's good. That's progress.
That's amazing. I do want to address this comment that from Brightmoor. Report yesterday that COVID doubles the risk of latent cancers. Article was concerned with rise of cancers in the young. And I don't know if it was that article or another article on the same subject that I read, Brightmoor, and absolutely it was. I read it and sent it to John immediately, and I said, "This is what you've been saying from the start for 2 years when you were diagnosed with the recurrent prostate cancer,
the metastasis."
The metastasis, exactly, and that came just a few months after you and I had COVID. And actually, looking back on it, it was pretty mild, the COVID that we had. We were both out for a few days with flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
But then a few months later,
yeah,
they detect, your PSA went up, and they detect metastasized prostate cancer in your body. And I am grateful that that's coming out. And the other thing that I thought was, and I'm going to say the forbidden V word, but one of the things that it said is that people who are in remission from cancer should avoid viruses in general, including vaccines.
It said that in the study. I read it too.
Absolutely.
When you showed it to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a study that I posted on my X feed, if you want to find that. The things that they know that they don't tell us, you have to get suspicious after a while, don't you?
You really do. You have to wonder what else is going on out there, or what else is it that we know that is not being covered. I mean, it's frustrating, because I feel like there's so much information that keeps getting buried. And thankfully, we live in a world today that we have so many different information sources, But then, there are people out there planting false information for whatever reason. And there are a variety of reasons, but you have to be careful too to not get, caught up in some rabbit hole that takes you off in a misdirection. But luckily, I think information is easier to access now than it was 30 years ago when we only had mainstream media and that was it, of which I was a part.
The activation of latent dormant cancer cells by a virus is part of the sleeper agent. It is exactly the model that Adam Finnegan has shown in his book, The Sleeper Agent. And sooner or later, people are going to realize that this biological warfare has been going on a long time. And they have seeded this stuff into humanity.
Yes.
And, part of it in my case is the sugar cube, the polio vaccine, which I believe is probably the source of my prostate cancer.
Yep.
But they won't let me have a test for it. But, a couple $1,000s, I think. But, the point is, I am one of like 80 million people that took that vaccine, and they have all of these, noisy ideas about, genetic, manipulation and mRNA and all of this stuff that takes up the whole room as far as medical, issues. But this is the biggest issue that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to fix it by throwing Band-Aids on it. Like, oh, we're going to get rid of the bad dyes in our foods. Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's Band-Aids or misdirection. I mean,
I mean, it's like both. It's like, everybody clap because they've done something that might make a tiny little dent in the problem. No, you're not even looking at the problem yet.
Right.
And this is what is real. And Ed Haslam had it absolutely right in his book, Dr. Mary's Monkey, that was he first published back in 97. And, the continued denial of our medical community that this stuff really went on is got to be investigated in itself, because it's the AMA, it's the insurance companies, it's the people that just don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But it's got to.
Well, I think now is a time to spotlight this again, because all over the news today is that, what is the name of that pretty young man singer? Oh, Justin Timberlake has just announced that he's been diagnosed with Lyme disease and has a lot of nerve damage, and it's been making it tough for him to perform or whatever.
Sorry.
And but because of this, Lyme disease is in the news.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an article about, what is Lyme disease and where does it come from? And of course, it repeated that myth that Lyme disease was first identified in the 70s in Lyme, Connecticut. But because everybody's talking about Lyme disease, it's a good time to remind everybody about the sleeper agent and the truth about Lyme disease that Adam Finnegan reveals and goes into detail, and so remarkably well.
If you're not familiar with Adam Finnegan's work yet, please go visit thesleeperagent.com and check out his articles there. He's made a number of little videos, but also what you can do there is purchase the audiobook, which he's just published in June. And Totos are very excited about the audiobook.
Apparently so. I've never heard them so excited about something like that.
All right. Well, that's thesleeperagent.com. And we very, very much appreciate people keeping his book and his work in mind, because I think it's the key.
And Wahed Rex asks, is that Justin Bieber? And it's not. It's Justin Timberlake, who is I think He at one point was a member of one of those boy groups.
Okay.
And then he went out on his own and he's married to some actress, I think. But no, Justin Timberlake is the one. So we've gotten a little bit behind here. Shh. Toto's coughing about something.
Maybe she wants some attention.
A dog wanting attention. So Brightmore says, posted in comments, mind-blowing series about the pervasive in our faces satanic symbols and rituals found in all genres of music.
Not in my music.
Well, maybe an opera, but
well, I mean, I have looked at, before I started the show, I was already into things like the one eyes and the symbolism that's pervasive everywhere. Lady Gaga and her crazy, looks like horns under her skin outfit, and all of that stuff. The snakes, with the pop singers, and all of it is trying to make a subconscious acceptance of this kind of satanic oriented world, which is, it's a big psyop. Yeah,
Corky says the occult. It's there.
The occult and all of the craziness about Baphomet and all of that stuff. And LaVey and the satanic religion stuff. So it's so obviously a psyop, but yet our government lets this stuff go on. And in fact, it's the intelligence services going back to Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke and MK Ultra that this all comes from. And once again, this is all projects of the British Wall Street financial system, trying to control all of us in such a way that they never have to worry about maintaining their power.
Well, controlling the masses, it goes back centuries, and it has been used in many, many ways. And of course, a lot of people get offended when you talk about religion as a way to control the masses, especially when one, not you, but when one focuses in on one particular religion. But, that's part of religion, is controlling the masses.
We did a number of shows a year or two ago about the idea of gnosis, Gnosis, and how religions that have secret knowledge or can persuade their followers that there is some secret path, or that the future has been laid out and they know what it is. That is always a political usage of people's gullibility and desire for spiritual connection. It's always that way in every context where I see it happening. And it happens, everywhere. And the idea of something like predicting, the day of the end of the world or something like that, That's political. That's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like saying everybody drop everything because we've got to fix this problem before the world ends, So, I don't know why I just popped up with that, but it's something that I think is a huge problem in the world that a lot of people are willing to just accept the idea that somebody in a black robe told them that this is the way the world's
right. Yeah.
goes, and so they kind of say, okay, well, you can handle my innate need to be a part of the moral decision making for our country or whatever. I'll just defer.
Brightmore says lots of classical music uses the devil's tritone, and then adds devil's tritone begins Saint-Saëns' Danse Macabre and Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze. So explain to me the devil's tritone.
Purple haze running in my brain. The devil's tritone is just it's a name that they put on a certain interval in music.
Okay.
And so what it is like a diminished fifth, if you will, like a C and a F sharp, or a D and a G sharp, or so it's and it's always dissonant. The reason they call it the devil's tritone is because it's not a beautiful sound. It's like those two notes don't go together. When you hear it, it's like, so that becomes a vehicle of expression in music, is that you can cause people to have that visceral sense of that doesn't sound right, that.
Wow, that is amazing, because when I hear this in my head, and I'm not familiar with the Danse Macabre, if I am, I can't call it up, but certainly Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze, I can hear it in my head, and I think that it never occurred to me that it was dissonant, but it creates a feeling of something's not right.
I never thought of Purple Haze in that context either, Brightmore. That's a really interesting comment. And yeah, the Sanson, I don't remember how it starts. But you're right. You call it Danse Macabre because you're going to use that dissonance. Something that you don't really hear much in folk music or, traditional dance music.
That's true.
It's a device that kind of starts occurring to people after the well-tempered keyboard is there, and you can do things like change keys in the middle of a piece and things.
Jennifer Miller says, if you study, know the truth, you can discern what is a lie. That's insightful, but Jennifer, you have more confidence than I do, because sometimes I think I know the truth, but then I find out later that I was wrong. And I feel like we've been lied to for so long that it's a lot of hard work to know the truth. But if you have information, if you have knowledge, if you study, then yes, it becomes easier to focus in on what is probably the truth.
I have two comments. The first one is, of course, from the Bible, if ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I think of as essential to my optimistic view of the world, that, yeah, there's tons of layers of crap right now, but I'm peeling them back as fast as I can, and thousands or millions of other people are peeling them back. And at some point, we're going to understand that Alan Dulles ran all of this crap that happened to our lives. And, other things that need to be exposed. And because if you don't, then it really does turn into a pessimistic world. So I love the idea of at the end, or at some point, we will know the truth. The second comment I would have is I learned from from Islam, and that is the very common saying that truth stands clear from error. Truth stands clear from error. So I think that's generally true, except for in a world where you have Walter Lippmann and Edward Bernays and Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and all of these tricky intellectuals that get high on cocaine and figure out how to dominate the rest of us through psychology. Other than that, I think truth does stand clear from error. Wow. You got me going there.
Yeah, that's just, it's a lot to take in. That's very profound. Jennifer adds, Bible, Jesus said, the devil is father of all lies. Okay. I'm not sure, devil. I would drop a D and say evil is father of all lies.
I think the devil is a personification of evil. So,
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is something when you consider people talking about, the devil, like in the 19th century, and it's a temptation to think, well, they were very naive. They're thinking of a literal devil with the pitchfork and the horns and all. But no, they're also very broad-minded and thinking of it as a way just to express the force of evil. And to me, that continues to me, that in many cases people will say, yeah, the devil is a personified, like a human, or he's a bad angel according to the Bible, right?
Right.
So he's a bad angel, but he's like a person. And others say, well, the devil is just the sum of evil that we can just talk. Okay, enough for me.
Oh, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Corky adds, human evil, human love. Is it cosmic? Yes.
I got them cosmic blues again, Mama, says Janis Joplin. And yeah.
Brightmore says, a common image in movies and video is money falling from the sky or a person throwing money upon people. A common ritual honoring the Rain Man in the sky. Oh, that's a reference to an earlier comment about Rain Man.
Yeah, it's raining pennies from heaven.
Yeah.
For you and me.
Yeah. Then I think about that song from the 80s of It's Raining Men.
Ooh. I'm so glad I skipped the 80s.
Well, you know what? That was the disco days. Oh. And I think It's Raining Men was a bit of a gay anthem.
I do want to, I think I Will Survive is absolutely fabulous.
Oh, that song rises way, way above its era. Yeah. It's
you're right. Yes. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is a timeless piece of art. I think it's great. I might even want to learn the dance moves.
Are there dance moves to I Will Survive?
Isn't there?
I don't know. I mean, I had some exposure in the 80s because I had gay friends and we would go out dancing during the week to the gay bars. But, yeah. And so I learned a few steps, but I don't remember, and I do remember that song being played in the bars.
Oh yeah, and Pee Wee Herman dancing on the bar in that movie. You'd have to see it.
I'm sure I haven't.
Oh, it's very funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got those big shoes with the 8-inch platform shoes on, and the guy can really dance. He gets up on the point of the shoes and Pee Wee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's new to me. It's 12:01.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's a note that I want to end on, But oh well, here we are. So we'll let Corky have the last word, if I can. Oh well, for some reason. Here we go.
There he is.
Well, but that wasn't the one that I was trying to
Oh no.
to post. There we go. Even the blues are cosmic.
Yeah.
That's very profound, Corky. So we'll let you have the last word.
I will see you on Monday. And great news on Tuesday. Our good friend Harley Schlanger will be back for our
yay!
bi-weekly
It'll be great to
roundups.
hear from Harley.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.